Look at the American economy today, and the internal contradictions are obvious. Corporate stock valuations break records regularly, while a growing portion of the working class struggles with structural debt and the rising cost of necessities. In China, the dynamic is reversed. In late 2020, the state abruptly canceled the Ant Group IPO, what would have been the largest public offering in human history, literally days before it was set to launch. The company's founder, Jack Ma, disappeared from public view for months. This demonstrated that within this system, no amount of private wealth offers protection when the state decides to intervene. Western media often misreads these events by relying on labels from the Cold War, like communist authoritarianism or capitalist democracy. These 20th century definitions fail to capture the actual mechanics at play. Instead of a conflict between ideologies, we are observing a collision between two incompatible historical operating systems. The United States operates as a young nation-state, where the financial sector dominates the economy. Its institutional goals are measured in 90-day corporate quarters and 4-year election cycles. China and Russia function as ancient civilization states. They govern according to generational survival programs and deep-time institutional memories that stretch back centuries. While conventional strength is measured in aircraft carriers, the ability to mobilize those assets depends on the chain of command. To understand the current global shift, we have to ask who ultimately commands the state: the owners of credit or administrators of the collective realm. The Western model traces its roots to 18th century Europe. Monarchies were functionally insolvent from constant warfare and needed a way to manage their expanding debts. John Law provided the blueprint. He convinced the French crown to swap its sovereign debt for shares in a colonial trading company. This proved that a state could survive bankruptcy by converting its future obligations into financial equity. The founders of the United States imported this Anglo-French design. Lacking an ancient bureaucracy or a landed aristocracy, they made financial markets the foundational architecture of the new state. Over time, this evolved into a system where credit expansion dictates policy. In this environment, speculative capital often regulates the government, extracting wealth from the markets rather than through the production of physical goods. By allowing the owners of capital to become senior partners in governance, the West created a model that prioritizes the mobility of private profit over long-term social stability. China maintains an ancient social hierarchy known as the Four Occupations. At the apex were the Shi administrators maintaining social order. Below them, farmers and artisans were respected for producing tangible goods. At the absolute bottom were the merchants, suppressed for merely accumulating mobile wealth. The institutional memory of China suggests that unregulated capital naturally seeks to capture the state, hoard resources, and trigger civil wars. Suppression was a survival mechanism to keep the economy subordinate to the collective. The modern state has stepped into the role of the ancient Shi administrative class. While it utilizes markets to generate wealth, it intervenes the moment tech billionaires attempt to build parallel credit architectures. The system rewards the production of physical technology, but keeps capital on a short leash. This ensures that the operators of financial spreadsheets never hold the steering wheel of the empire. These two designs are now colliding, revealing the structural limits of the Western model. This chart tracks the growth of the U.S. national debt, which is compounding past $38 trillion. The state must now allocate an increasing portion of its tax revenue just to service the interest on that debt. This debt trap has domestic consequences. It hollows out the physical manufacturing base, drives asset inflation that puts housing out of reach, and leaves the population in a state of financial precarity. Externally, using the dollar system to enforce global sanctions has triggered a survival response from other powers, accelerating a shift toward trade settlement in hard commodities rather than credit. While traditional defense focuses on external threats, the internal contradictions of this debt-based architecture are reaching a structural boundary. The West is discovering the difficulty of running an empire on continuous monetary expansion. In response, civilization states like China and Russia are hardening their societies to survive a potential reset of the global financial network. Their strategy focuses on physical autarky, stockpiling gold, building tangible global trade routes like the Belt and Road, and securing direct control over food and energy supplies. These states are prioritizing hard assets and resource independence, to act as a shield against the volatility of the Western markets. As the global financial architecture strains, the civilizations prioritizing territory, resources, and internal cohesion are positioning themselves for the next era. In this contest, the advantage lies with the system that maintains control over its physical reality.